Welcome back to another episode of Ingrid's World. My name is Ingrid Paris Hicklin. I am the host and executive producer of the television show. On this show, meet Supervisor Dalia Palchik, who represents the Providence District on Fairfax County Board of Supervisors. Supervisor Palchik currently serves as the chair of the Health and Human Services Committee, the chair of Northern Virginia Transportation Commission, and on the State Executive Council for Children's Services. She serves also as a vice chair of Housing and Audit Committees and co-lead of the Successful Children and Youth Policy Team. Supervisor Palchik serves on the Council to End Domestic Violence, the Fairfax Food Council, the Community Criminal Justice Board, the Northern Virginia Regional Commission, and Phase 1 Dulles Rail Transportation Improvement District Commission. Well, welcome to this show, Supervisor Dalia Palchik. So happy to have you.
Oh, Ingrid, it's truly my pleasure to be here with you today.
So what was your path about being elected to County Supervisor to the Providence District of Fairfax County, Virginia?
Ingrid, so like so many of our community members here, I grew up here in Fairfax, born in Argentina, and my family moved here when I was 6 years old. In the Providence District, I worked in international development. I worked for many years as a world language teacher, and I knew I wanted to do a little bit beyond my classroom. So I got involved. I served on some school board committees, and I ran for the school board to represent the Providence District in 2015. And while serving on that board, I realized that so much that happens here, especially the needs for our community around housing, early childhood development, transportation, economic opportunity for all, and the environment, something that is done not just by the school board, but also by the Board of Supervisors. So in 2019, I decided to run for an open seat here to represent the Providence District on the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors.
Wow, what a wonderful journey. And thank you for laying all what you have accomplished and what it took to get where you are now. So give us 5 facts about the Providence District that you want the viewers to know.
Well, number one, people don't always know what we mean by the Providence District. So the town of Providence was the original name of Fairfax County. The area now known as the Judicial Complex started out as land that was donated to be the original town of Providence, which is where Providence District got its name and where the start of Fairfax County was. Wow. Providence District also is in the middle of Fairfax County. It includes Merrifield, which many of us know, and the Mosaic District, as well as 90% of Tysons. It goes out west toward Oakton and the Oakton Library, the heart of Oakton, as well as to the east, almost to Seven Corners. And then to the community where I was born, not born, but where I grew up, in the heart of Fairfax and Mantua and the Providence District.
Wonderful. So that's really very interesting. I had no idea that Fairfax was really Providence. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Wow.
And sorry, I stopped at those facts, but the other important thing about Providence is that we have almost half commercial and residential development, of the only district that is almost half and half, as well as one of the most diverse linguistically, culturally districts and socioeconomically as well.
Wonderful. Diversity is definitely a wonderful, great strength. My goodness. So, what are the challenges facing the Providence District?
Well, absolutely challenges that we have, not just here in Providence, but in the county, regionally, and internationally. Number one is around housing. As you know, our housing stock has not kept up for several decades, and we've seen even more need during the pandemic. And so housing is a big challenge. Transportation, we have quite a bit of public transportation. We have 6 metro stations as well as bus routes that go all across. But we know that access, pedestrian safety, bike safety, and being able to get around both for our families, our youth, as well as for our rising senior population are huge needs. And then really the environment is something that we care about across the board, and continuing to focus on that here, from the way we do development closer to our metro and stations and our transportation, so we can try to keep people from having to drive their cars. I lived in DC for 5 years and did not own a car, and tried my very best to not have to own one coming out here. But unfortunately, it's still quite difficult to get around without transportation. And then finally, being able to continue to support our school system, which is what is so important and what brings many of our families as well as our businesses to Fairfax County and continues to be a driving force. But within that, we do see a huge gap and a need to ensure that children from birth to 5 have access to early childhood services, and that their families have access to affordable and quality childcare.
Makes my heart sing, okay. Well, what do you see as the top priorities for the Providence district?
Well, absolutely. So much of what I shared, definitely ensuring that we continue to have access to the highest quality schools, that we have access to early childhood, to opportunities beyond high school for students to be able to achieve academically, whether they choose to go into the workforce or to college and beyond, making sure that no matter the zip code or their background or their family's access to education, that all of our children and our youth have those opportunities. We also know that pedestrian safety is huge. Our county and our roads were built mostly in the 1990s, when the focus was very much on cars and getting cars around our district. And now we know that we have and need more and more community members who want to have safe access to parks, to public transportation, to schools, to be able to get to shopping centers, to work, and knowing that so many more of our youth are choosing not to drive. And that is one of the reasons we have piloted and continue to grow our bus passes, both for Fairfax County Connector, which now is free for all children younger than 12, but also our innovative partnership with WMATA, where we now have buses on all of our high schools that are served primarily by Metrobus, to be able to have free bus passes for those students as well, which we know they use predominantly to get to school and to work. And so those are some of the top priorities, in addition to ensuring that we focus on our environmental needs and that we continue to ensure that everyone is able to thrive and has access to opportunity, which is what we call One Fairfax, because we absolutely have the whole spectrum of background, and especially socioeconomic background here in Providence and in Fairfax County.
Wow. So what steps are being taken for affordable housing to become a reality in Fairfax County?
Well, number one, as a board, we've made innovative and really, I think, a substantial goal and promise to build 10,000. We started with 5,000 and now we're up to 10,000 affordable dwelling units by 2026. We already have 1,000 just in the Tysons area between Providence and Hunter Mill that have been approved and are in the process of development. We also need to continue to look at not just housing that is rental housing, but looking at options for homeowners as well. We do know that land is quite limited here in Fairfax County, which adds to the cost of housing. And that is why we looked at more innovative solutions with county-owned land, with land owned by states and other communities that are interested in being able to redevelop to allow for housing, especially close to the transit areas. And in Providence, as was mentioned, we have 6 metro stations.
Wow. So tell us about the Tysons Community Alliance.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about the Tysons Community Alliance. It is something that has developed and been really the next phase of what started as the Tyson's Partnership, which began with the Tyson's Comprehensive Plan over a decade ago as an implementing body for the community. But unlike other, what they're called BIDs, business improvement districts, that people who've been to Roslyn or Ballston, Capitol Landing, or downtown DC, Georgetown BIDs, those are funded primarily and run primarily by the private sector with special taxes. Here, the Tyson's Community Alliance was created as a way to bring in the entire community and the stakeholders from the public and the private sector, as well as the residents, the faith communities, the nonprofits, and really everyone who lives, or we hope will live or work or play or retire in the Tyson's area, for them to have the ability to have a voice, to think about things that are needed specifically in the Tyson's area, from pedestrian improvements and connections to a future circulator, to safety, cleanliness, and activities that will really bring people and community together in Tyson's. And they have launched, and their new executive director, the first full-time executive director, will take the reins here in the next coming weeks in July.
That's exciting. So you touched on it in your answer, but let's just pull this out. What is Fairfax County doing to ensure people can retire in the same place they worked? That's important.
Absolutely. You know, I have my parents who are retiring here, and they've had to, make some adjustments to their home, being able to look at areas to be able to afford to have transportation, activities, and support systems. And so one of the big things we have is we have so many support systems. I held several roundtables for our older adults, and there's so much that we offer that people don't always know about. So from being able to have access to long-term care supports and facilities, to our senior centers that are across the county. We have here at Providence Community Center a very vibrant senior center. I go and visit them at lunch quite often. We also have, and we continue to look at access to safe transportation to ensure that people can continue to live where they work. We also have increased our tax incentive system for seniors who are living in their homes. We have created a new opportunity for what people often call granny flats, for those who want to be able to build upon or share their existing homes that often have become a large home for a couple, to be able to have what we call an accessory living units. If they want to have family or non-family, be able to help with the rents. We know that cost of living is something that hurts so many of us here, from new families looking to live here, make a life, to those who have made their life here for many decades and are looking to be able to retire. Wow. So definitely looking for opportunities to help people with cost of living.
Means so much. So as you touched on this already, but if you want to add anything, so you're also the vice chair of the Housing Committee. So what major issues are that committee working on?
Well, absolutely. And so many of the issues are tied between human services and housing. And so whether we're trying to address homelessness, the need for affordable housing, the need for all types of housing, attainable housing, housing across the district, across the county, and especially, I think, in Providence, looking for housing that is accessible to transportation and to our transit areas, so that we can continue to have a transit-oriented community that relies less on individual car transportation and more on our transportation and transit system. Again, we know the land has become more and more costly and valuable, and so looking for what we call braided funding to bring in state, local, and federal funds to help build some of the affordable and workforce units.
Well, that's really very important that you're working particularly, and collaborating with the federal too. That's amazing. Tell us about your work as chair of the Health and Human Services Committee, another very big committee that you chair.
Absolutely. Well, and coming into this role, it was January of 2020. So where that started was quite different when we came to March and April of 2020 with the pandemic. And so helping ensure and work with our health department, our public health and emergency agencies to help ensure that we improved and continue to grow our outreach and our ability to serve our entire community, from language services to our equity vaccine clinics that were so successful that they were used as a model across the state.
Wow.
To our ability to be able to collaborate, coordinate, and partner with our nonprofits. The nonprofits here in Fairfax County are part of what makes us such a vibrant and resilient community. And so from our community funding pool to our nonprofits that provide support, whether it be housing or food assistance, and so many of the grants and the federal money that was given out was through the county, through then our nonprofits. We were a direct recipient of federal funds, unlike most of the state, and we did ensure that those funds were being used through our programs, both through the county, but also so many of the programs of our nonprofits that support our community directly.
Very important, and I just enjoyed you stating that what Fairfax County was doing was used as a model, and that's very important, to lead the effort in trying to meet the needs of many people, particularly during the pandemic. That was really quite crucial. So tell us about the Northern Virginia Transportation Commission, where you serve as chair of the commission.
Absolutely, and we do, I am one of the representatives for Fairfax County on this commission, which is about to celebrate its 60th year next year. And primarily we look at support and funding for Metro, for the VRE, for our projects that use the toll funds from 66, 395, 495 to help support projects that help our commuters. Especially, I'm excited about the programs we have to fund trails and that get people to school, to Metro, and to be able to have alternatives other than I-66 and our roads to get around. So we have support for commuter buses, for some of our trail connections, and to really be able to ensure that we have a connected network. The MVTC does serve the entire Northern Virginia region. So we have representatives from the counties and cities here in Northern Virginia. And we ensure that the vibrant economy and the residents and the community here in Fairfax County are able to access alternative transportation through the different funds and funding streams here in Northern Virginia.
Wow.
One of the exciting things we're looking at is looking at our bus system, looking at zero emission bus systems, and looking at some opportunities and programs that can help with reduced fares as well.
Wow. Lots of wonderful work that you're sharing with us. What is the work of Fairfax Food Council?
Yeah, so the Fairfax Food Council does look at a few areas, including urban agriculture, food access, and looking at our food system overall. So from working with partners here in one of my communities in Kingsley, with the owners of that community, which is one of a combination of our private and publicly owned affordable housing areas, to partner with Hands on Harvest and Food for Others to create community gardens for members who live there, who often, many of them are quite skilled in gardening, but do not have access to the land or the tools. And we've been able to support them as well as help bring a space and education for their children, and it's been wonderful to see. Wow. The Food Council also looks at other opportunities for urban agriculture, as well as helping understand the food insecurities that exist in our
Yes.
community, and what are the different ways that we can help address them.
Loved your answer because I thought that we were just going to talk about food and not community gardens. Very interesting, very exciting.
So one of the exciting things we had is you may have heard of Corey's lamb mowers. There's one of the members, he has a business where his sheep go out and help mow, take down especially invasive species or weeds. So he's brought them out to help remove the weeds through the first round in those community gardens. And the kids love it, the adults love it, and it really helps bring an important service to those gardens.
Wow. Another question I have is about the new renewable energy standards that you're reviewing. What's that about?
Well, as you know, we are very concerned here and across the globe at climate change and being able to implement renewable energy and renewable systems. We actually have a very collaborative and I think cross-sector plan called the Fairfax Resiliency Plan that is looking both, especially at the local, at the public and the private opportunities to help reduce our impact on climate change and to help invest in our renewable energy sources, from transportation to housing to our public buildings, and to hopefully help incentivize more of our private businesses and individuals to also invest in their energy use reductions here in Fairfax County.
Wow, excellent, excellent. So what's your vision for Providence District in terms of services?
Well, I think we have so much here already in Providence District. We are one of, I think, the most, I'm going to say the best districts, the most diverse, and the most connected districts. But we want to ensure that everyone has access to opportunity, that children have access to mentors, to opportunities within school, outside of school, and that we're able to have childcare and education, transportation, and the ability for people to access affordable and workforce housing here in Providence. Again, one of the areas that is such a challenge, both from the lack of housing opportunities and the housing stock, to also knowing that we are such a wonderful place to live and work, that we are very popular, and the cost of living has risen quite a bit to make it harder for families to move and stay and live here and relocate here. So housing definitely is at the forefront, access to transportation, access to early childhood, to great schools, to great teachers, and then to opportunities past their pre-K to 12 education. Really focused on our families and our wonderful immigrant, multicultural, multilingual community, almost 200 languages spoken in our schools. And Providence, I think, really is representative of the entire country.
Wonderful. So we only have like a minute, so I'm going to ask you one question. Why is Fairfax County a great place to live, work, and play? What's your minute, pitch for Fairfax County?
My minute. So for me, number one, and I've tried living in other places, and I think we are absolutely one of the most wonderfully diverse, culturally rich communities in the world. We have access to excellent education, excellent jobs, excellent parks and libraries and opportunities, and really, above all, a very thoughtful and caring community. From everyone we work with, and I've had the opportunity to work with here in Fairfax County on our staff. We have an incredible staff, to the community members who help make this such a great place to live, work, and play.
Well, thank you, Supervisor Palchik, for being on Ingrid's World to talk about your work on Fairfax County Board of Supervisors. We so appreciate this insightful conversation.
Absolutely. My pleasure, Ingrid. So delighted to be here with you. And I love your background. As you know, Dalia is a flower, and I love the flowers here in our community.
Oh, that's great, great. Well, such a privilege to have you on Ingrid's World. My inspirational quote is from Rosalind Carter, former First Lady of the United States. A leader takes people where they want to go. A great leader takes people where they don't necessarily want to go, but ought to be. So thanks for watching Ingrid's World. Connect with me on Facebook at Ingrid's World, or follow the show at Ingrid's World VA in Twitter and Instagram. Never miss a show, because Ingrid's World is on Ingrid's World LLC YouTube channel and ingridsworld.org. Thanks for watching.